Hey, everybody. What does building a business and energy have to do with your overall growth? And what does it have to do with becoming the best business out there? We're going to talk a little bit about that. But first, I'm going to cue that intro. Welcome to Business Insights with Matt Milia. I'm your host, Matt Milia, and in this podcast, we'll talk about the real, raw, uncut business success secrets you won't find anywhere else. Follow my journey from entry level to CEO. We discuss real actionable items you can plug into your business right away. To subscribe to our weekly top tips, you can go to www.mattpodcast.com and join our community of elite high-level performers. And if you're interested in our inside sales company, you can go to www.appointmentstoday.com to jump on a free strategy call. And now, stay tuned for our podcast. All right, what's up, Chris? Thank you so much for jumping on. I'm super excited to have you.
Absolutely, Matt. Pleasure's all mine.
Well, so for everyone that's watching, you've now developed something that's so unique to entrepreneurs, something to help them become the very best version of themselves. And I would love for you to share a little bit about that.
Absolutely. So I've been an entrepreneur since I was 15 years old. I started out with a lawn cutting business, and then I got into the fitness world in college and really dug my teeth into that. I really love the fitness world and the health world. And then when I was in my 20s, mid to late 20s, I was building two businesses. I had an e-commerce business online that I was building, and I was also building my fitness business. And I completely burnt myself out. I would get up early, stay up late. I was surviving off of coffee, and here I was, a health and fitness professional, and I literally couldn't practice what I was preaching. I wasn't able to take care of my own health, and I really burnt myself out, and I hit a wall. And I was like, what the heck am I doing? I value health so much, and yet I'm trying to build multiple businesses at one time to get ahead and provide for my family, that my health started to decline. And I was exhausted, and I started to not love what I was doing as an entrepreneur. And I realized, okay, I've got to protect what gives me energy. And so I stopped doing my second business, right? And I started focusing completely on my health while building my fitness business. And I was like, I got myself to a better place where I was starting to value rest. I started shutting things down earlier for work. I started mastering my morning routine in a way that I never have before, getting into meditation, figuring out what foods actually give me energy. And I realized this is who I really want to help. I want to help entrepreneurs that have hit rock bottom like I have, that have been burnt out, that have, even they're making money. Even when you're making money, if you are like lacking that spark to your business, you're probably burnt out. And you want to enjoy the process of what you do. So after interviewing 50 plus entrepreneurs, what I came up with is that the true secret sauce is providing more energies for entrepreneurs. So I am starting a new course, right? That's going to be, the first version is going to be launching very soon, within the next 5 to 6 weeks, called the Energized Entrepreneur Blueprint. And it is designated towards teaching entrepreneurs everything they need to know from the day their day starts, like the way their day starts, all the way to the evening, what they need to be doing so that they have tremendous energy and just are more productive. Because at the end of the day, Matt, correct me if I'm wrong, but is your goal to make the most amount of money, the least amount of time, so that you can spend time with the people that you care about the most and have the experiences that you truly cherish? That's what every entrepreneur's goal is. Well, we
100%.
can't do that if we don't, correct. We can't do that if we don't operate on a higher level and have that sustained energy. The key is to get more done in less time, and I truly believe that what we're going to teach on the Energized Entrepreneur Blueprint is exactly that. It's everything you need to do to be more productive. Yeah.
I love it. And it's funny because going back, just thinking in terms of, for me, 2019, that was my best year in business. But I was also, I wouldn't say I was at my worst health in terms of weight and, you know, my appearance, but I was in my worst health in terms of what I was eating, what I was consuming, the low amount of sleep that I was getting. I was constantly living on coffee and energy drinks and caffeine pills. I mean, you name it, if I could get my hands on it and it was legal,
Right.
and it gave me energy,
Right.
I was consuming it. And it was to a
Right.
point where I literally would start to feel those heart palpitations where you're like, whoa, like this doesn't feel right, or you're
Right.
not able to think clearly. Talk
Right.
a little bit on, for you, Chris, with the program that you're going to be offering, which, by the way, for everyone that's watching, got the link. You can literally follow that link, click there, click below. And of course, with Chris as well, you can also find Chris on social media. I believe are you LinkedIn as well? For everyone that might be looking?
Yeah, I'm on LinkedIn as well. Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, Facebook, though, is probably one of the best places, I'm sure. Yeah, you're all over there, so people will find you there. But Chris, talk a little bit about, for you, when you were running yourself on E like that, did you ever feel that brain fog where you just couldn't think clearly? And are there some things that you can help out with as far as, you know, either activities or diet goes to help people get clear?
Yeah. So, great question. My wife actually told me at that time, um, she's like, there would be times we'd be having a discussion and you weren't making any sense. That's how
Yeah.
that's how out of it I was, right? So the first thing is to know that coffee doesn't wake you up. It cuts off the circuit to your brain that lets you know you're asleep, or that you're tired,
Mm,
right? And so
right.
eventually
Makes
when
sense.
that caffeine runs out, or when the caffeine runs out of your system, all that deprivation of sleep and energy is going to hit you like a hard, it's going to be a hard stop. So being mindful of how much caffeine you're taking in and when you're cutting that off can actually help. Also, what you're putting into your body at the beginning of the day in terms of food, like what are you eating to start your day, right? I'm a big fan of not only, and you hear people say this, like green like leafy green things, but there's so much behind what you put into your body and how it affects your energy. And you could use yourself as a guinea pig. What happens when you make, I don't know, a strawberry banana smoothie and you happen to throw some spinach in there versus you eating, I don't know, chicken from the night before? Like, just feeling what that's like in your system has a huge effect. So, and there's a lot of nuts that have tremendous energy in them, but also have an effect on your quality of energy later on in the day. So it depends what you're having. I don't start my day with sugar. I start my day with protein and fats because I don't want to spike my insulin at the beginning of the day. I do intermittent fasting. Intermittent fasting has a huge effect on my energy. We actually don't need to start the day early in the morning eating food, and people don't know this. We have energy from the day before still in our system that can be used for the first part of the day. So that allows me to focus. Go ahead. Were you going to say something?
No, I was just going to say it's crazy. It's crazy because the breakfast cereal industry is going to be really upset with us. But yeah, I mean, you're right. You don't have that where, I mean, I noticed when I was eating Cheerios, for example, because that's supposed to be heart healthy. And
Right.
I'm like, I don't really feel any better. I feel kind of groggy. And I noticed that some of the days, not even some of the days that I do intermittent fasting, I generally feel better.
Yeah. So here's what's interesting. If you look at all of the if you look at all the popular foods for breakfast, what are they? They're all carb heavy,
Yep.
right? And the problem with that is that spike in insulin, which can also eventually lead to a crash. We don't want that. So cereal, pancakes, bread,
Yeah.
egg McMuffins. It's like very little of the foods that actually give us tremendous energy. And we actually don't need tons of sugar to operate. We need some, but we don't need a lot. So here's all these sugar heavy meals that, sugar is addicting. It's only going to make you want to have more sugar heavy meals. So
So true.
breakfast, breaking the fast, you are breaking the fast. Fasting is a healthy thing our body should do. It's a very healthy thing our body should do. And just making that shift alone is going to reduce your total caloric intake from 20 to 40% if you fast.
Right. That's awesome.
Which helps you lose weight. You lose weight, less weight on the frame also allows you to not get tired as fast because you don't have all this weight pressing down on your organs. So it's a compound effect of a few different things.
That's so true. And so many people don't even necessarily think about that. And of course, when you said egg McMuffin, I was like, man, I haven't had one of those in ages. But I know that's something that it's pressed on. It's people are being pushed to eat these things. Now, let me ask you this: if you're an entrepreneur, you're constantly on the go. I know you've dealt with this, so you'd be the best person to speak on this. How do you help them in terms of? I'm sure you've heard the saying, "I don't have the time." What do you say to that? How do you help them manage that element of their business and their life?
So how many hours are there in a day, Matt?
24.
24. And it's the same for you and it's the same for me. My argument is, so wait a second. You don't have the time, right? You're busy. I get it. So you mean to tell me you're not going to make time for something that's been proven to give you more energy so that you could get more work done in less hours? Now you're thinking differently. The perspective is shifted. So
true.
I used to work out because I cared about the aesthetic. When we were in our 20s, we cared about how we looked. And don't get me wrong, we all want to look good with our shirt off. So we all want to look sexy when we're naked. But now, as an entrepreneur, I want to do the things that allow me to perform better at my business. So now it's a non-negotiable of me working out because I know it gives me energy. Now it's a non-negotiable of me making sure I get in the right foods that are going to help me with better sleep. We've been taught, you see a lot of gurus in the business world, they preach, you got to stay up, you got to work when other people are sleeping. That's an extreme.
Yeah.
And guess what? You can only do that maybe a few days before it hits you. It's stupid to preach that because your goal isn't to stay up late one night and then be screwed for the rest of the week. Your goal is to be consistent the whole week. So if I stay up late, but I screw up the rest of the week, I just lost business. So it's about what keeps longevity, what keeps you going for a long period of time, right?
It's
no one hit
so
wonders.
hard. It's so hard for me not to laugh a little bit because I'm thinking about myself and I'm like, man, like this is like, it's so true because I've done that so many times and you've even gotten a couple of non-sleep induced messages from me when I'm like, I have a brilliant idea. And I throw the idea out there and then I look back and I go, the hell was I on? Like, what was I thinking? Like, why did I even send this message? Because you're not thinking clearly. You're like, that was stupid. I should not have done that. But you start to have that. You get into this area of, you talk about people that are saying, well, you got to grind all the time and you're not supposed to work. You may have heard this one before. You're not supposed to work 9 to 5. You're supposed to work 95, which I love. I love Grant Cardone. And I've coached, I've done his groups, but that is one of the things that he always says. And I'm thinking to myself, if you're working 95, you're probably not giving yourself that time, that rest, that recovery that you need in between. And it seems like a lot of people now, Chris, and I don't know if you would agree with this, but it seems like a lot of people have trouble sleeping, whether they can't shut their mind
100%.
off at night, and then it starts to affect their very next day and it affects the rest of the week. Would you say that that has to do with the foods that they're consuming?
So I'm so happy you mentioned that, because you're 100% right. A lot of people, I would guess 95% of people in this world struggle with sleep. And 100% food is a factor, but there's also a lot of other factors and they compound on each other, right? So how you start your day, today, the morning, what you do in the morning has a huge effect on your sleep. So from the moment your day starts, you're affecting your sleep. What time you finish eating affects your sleep, and what you eat affects your sleep. Your caffeine, when you cut the caffeine on, affects your sleep. Did you get natural sunlight? Our bodies are so synced up with nature, and when we don't abide by those natural principles, those universal principles of health, we completely destroy our productivity tomorrow. So yes, to answer your question, food has an effect, but there's a bunch of other things that have an effect too. And sleep is the force multiplier. Here's what's fascinating. Usain Bolt, consider the fastest man in the world, gets 10 plus hours of sleep. What's the difference between Usain and every other entrepreneur? Nothing.
Takes care.
They both want to perform at a high level.
True.
It's
but he's
not
getting
just
that sleep.
physical. It's not just physical, right?
Sure. Right.
You need both. We need both.
That to me just blows my mind though, thinking, I mean, wow, over 10 hours of sleep. I mean, I'm lucky. And again, this is where my struggle is. I've been really regimented on what I've been eating. I've been doing really good. I don't have any cravings anymore. My energy has gone up. A lot of that is from the tips and things that you've shared. And it's also from being studying it's knowing yourself, studying yourself, really taking that introspective look inside and saying, okay,
100%.
What the hell is happening here? Because we can be the best analysts at giving other people, I call it the armchair quarterback, where you're giving these tips to people, but then you're looking at yourself and you're saying, wow, where can I be better? What can I do to be the best version of myself? And that's what I love about the program and what you're rolling out is you're showing people, you're demonstrating it, you're living proof of it. And my struggle with sleep, even for me, I've noticed that when I'm taking care of myself, I'm working out, I'm eating well, but I get 5 hours, 6 hours, and I go to the dreaded scale. And I'm not one of those people that associates my happiness or my life based on those numbers.
It's something we measure, but yeah, it's something we measure. Of course.
And would you agree what you measure gets improved? So if
100%.
If I'm looking though at that scale and I say, what the hell, this thing must be broken. It doesn't budge. It doesn't move. I'm eating healthy. I'm working out. I'm doing these things. But I notice that the nights that I'm getting 8 hours sleep, even I'd say 7.5 to 8, I'm sure everybody has their own ideal time frame. I notice that the scale will be a little more favorable that day. Things will look a little bit better. My energy feels better. My mental clarity feels better. So that's
Yep.
something that in your training, assuming you do
Yep.
go over a lot of that.
We are, yeah. The Energized Entrepreneur does involve how to improve your sleep. That is a factor, along with several others. You know, there's a plethora of things. There's about 11 core um, pillars that you should be living, and sleep is one of them. You know, in order to have more energy. So,
Love
100%.
it.
You know, why would someone choose to sleep that much? Well, how can you how do you when do we heal? We heal when we sleep. So when you work out, okay, that breaks your body down. So it's a stress on your body, but you don't get the benefits of your workout until you get great rest. So if you don't get great rest, it's going to wipe you out tomorrow. You're going to be worse off tomorrow from the workout, right? So there's 100% connections between sleep, what you eat. I'm all about, and here's the most important thing. Your goal should not be if you're an entrepreneur, your goal should not be to be average in anything.
True. So true.
Because if you make if and you know how they say, oh, you got to be all out. You got to give 150%. If I give 150% to just making money, I wouldn't take care of my health. I wouldn't spend time in my relationship. So I can't put 150% just into business. My goal
Right.
is, what are the things I need to do to influence productive work, consistent work that pays me over time and keeps getting better. The goal is to get better. But you should be above average in everything in life, because when you're above average in your health, guess what? It bleeds into your business. It bleeds into your relationship, good or bad. Matt, you brought up before, when you had kind of hit a little bit of a rock bottom, you made the most amount of money that you've ever made, but your
True.
health was suffering. Now, I'm sure you're excited about the money, but because of the state that you felt physically, were you truly joyful at that time in your life?
No.
What did you feel like?
I'm really glad you asked that question, because that is something that is so profound. And you're right. I felt drained. I felt like my energy was always fleeting. It's embarrassing. I had to take naps in the middle of the day. And when you work from home and you're self-employed and you have a staff and a group of people that do a lot of the stuff, and you can do that at times, but it wasn't healthy. It wasn't and again, I know everyone's life is designed a little bit differently. Maybe for some people, like for example in Italy, they actually encourage, and not even Italy, Europe for that matter, they would encourage people to go home for a couple of hours. You take a nap in the middle of the day and you go back to
The
work.
siesta,
I'm not.
man.
What'd you say?
The siesta, they call it a siesta. It's the siesta. Europeans laugh at Americans for this, because we spend so much of our life working and not living. They take off multiple months
Yeah.
for vacation.
It's crazy. It's a totally different lifestyle. And I will say this. I mean, for me, the money was a byproduct of the hard work. But once you make your money, what are you so afraid of? Losing the money. So what do? You double down. You work a little harder. You add more hours. You start to make money and make the accolades and the feeling of this, oh, I'm so great. I've hit my marks. I'm hitting my goals, and you obsess over it. You make that the core and center of your life. And then what ends up happening is all of the other areas, which I'm glad you brought up, relationship, your physical health and wellness, depleted. And that was me.
It's so, yeah. And it's important, because guess what? Knowing that, Matt, you'll actually scale your business more than you will have ever been able to do, Because here's the good thing about hitting rock bottom. Like, I'm miserable. I need to figure out how to produce, but enjoy the process. Now, here's a big, big tip. When we're chasing success, if we're doing it out of fear, that's not the way to go about making money. So if we're going to chase money because, and we're like operating out of fear, like I need to get there, I need to get there, I need this, big mistake. Because when you hit that big goal, everything you sacrificed is going to do more harm than good, as opposed to gradually progressing your business, but enjoying your life so that you can make the money that you want, but do it at a place of peace, still have your health. Most people, if they hit their big sales goal today and hit $2 million or whatever their goal is, but tomorrow they found out they were only going to have a few days to live, believe me, they wouldn't be working harder on making more money. What would they be doing? They'd be spending time with the people that they care about, which is really the only thing they care about. They just got lured into thinking that in order for me to live the best life, I need to have all this money. I'm not opposed to making money. Believe me, I love making money. I love being able to help people, but I don't do it out of fear. I do it because of better things it's going to provide for my family, but I'm not like in this need mode. That's important too as an entrepreneur to understand the difference.
It goes back to the law of attraction. And I know when I talk to people about that, they're like, oh, the law of attraction. I'm like, but it's very true, because if you're constantly operating with a mindset of scarcity, that you're never going to get the money, you're never going to find, you're constantly seeking the pot of gold at the end of the rainbow. And that pot of gold is always fleeting, because once you hit the benchmark, I made my $1 million. Now on to 2 million, now on to 10 million. All of a sudden, it just becomes follow the numbers, but the numbers are not necessarily, and just like you, money's great, but there's a greater purpose. And even for us, we do everything in our power to give back to the community, reinvest, give to charity, because that's a byproduct of the money. And that makes you feel good. But if you don't feel good every day, and it shouldn't be just attached to an external circumstance or an external outcome, I think that's the challenge that most people have, is that, and the external outcome is not that I'm going to feel great. It's the external outcome is I'm going to make $50 million. And okay, that's wonderful, but it only takes you so far.
It's interesting. Yeah, the wealthiest people in the world, I can't remember what book I read this in. I'll have to do some searching. Said, and this is over several decades, the wealthiest people in the world committed suicide. Here's the people that made the most amount of money. Okay, so, and it's a huge list of some of the wealthiest people in the world. The way that they died was committing suicide. And why?
Crazy.
They were chasing money for money. They weren't living a life of true prosperity and wealth in every facet. Because at the end of the day, every time somebody hits a sales goal, like you said, they're always thinking about what's next. It's such a short amount of gratification. The next day, literally days later, you're like, all right, what's the next goal? So if you're not enjoying your life throughout the process from goal to goal, man, I actually think you're dead and you don't even know it.
So true.
You know?
So true.
So,
well, for everyone that's watching, again, click on the link here. We're sharing it up in the description. It's in the comments. You are definitely going to want to jump on a call with Chris, and he will help you go through the process. He'll give you access to, he'll give you the information that you need to make the best decision for you and for yourself. And I'm telling you, I wouldn't have him on here if I didn't think that this guy has literally just decoded the entrepreneur, decoded the thinking, the process, the systems. And that is something that I believe that Chris can help you grow and leverage your business. So Chris, before we wrap everything up, Is there anything that you
Yeah.
wanted to drop, anything that you wanted to share with everybody? Closing thoughts.
The only thing I can say, and I appreciate so much you having me on, Matt, is know why you started your business to begin with. You know what? And I this is a great question, and I asked you this in a conversation. You know, if you were,
I remember.
let's say we're at your funeral, right? We're at your funeral, um, and you have friends, family there, clients of your own there. What would they say about you and how you impacted them? Because whatever the answer is to that question, that's who you need to be today. And if you don't feel like you're that person, you got to make some changes so that you can be that best version of yourself. Because at the end of the day, time's gonna fly, and I want to. If I'm you, I want to enjoy every single minute of it and spend as much time as I can with the people that I love. The business is going to allow that. So I have to enjoy the process and really set myself up to be the best version of myself. So that's what I would say.
I love it. And that question got me stuck for a while, but it got me thinking and it got me realigned. So thank you for that. And again, thank you so much for jumping on. This was a lot of fun. And I think
Absolutely,
that there's
man.
a lot, I think there's a lot of people that are going to be blown away by what it is that you're offering. And it's just going to be an amazing product. So for everyone watching, thank you for tuning in, and we'll see you same time, same channel next week. See you, everybody.
Take care.